thank you to those who have joined so far. We're going to just get going right off the rip. Seems to me, Jim, based on a few guys reporting, mainly Austin Price, GMAC, pretty good first week of practice. And maybe this is more of a competition than a lot of people thought going into last Wednesday. So let's just hop right in, Jim. What are you thinking about it?
I still think Faison's the quote-unquote leader, like 51% to 49%. I think it's gonna stay that way until we get to Saturday in the first scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
I think you start to see who the guy's gonna be after that. If not, it might be the same again next week until the second scrimmage, because Heupel's not going to let anybody get any idea until after that second scrimmage. So, I mean, right now, I still think the smartest thing because this decision is gigantic for Josh Heupel.
Yep.
Not because of like, oh, who's going to have a successful, like, how is this going to make our season successful? Because I think either one of these guys can do that, but this decision could have a repercussion come transfer portal season. And I think if he picks Faison, I think George will be gone next year, unless he pulls a Ty Simpson and just stays. But it's a big decision for Josh Heupel, not only for the football season, but next year's football season.
Well, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I would go as far as to say that, just this day and age, I hate to say it, but whoever loses this job will probably not be on the roster next year. Like I said, that's just the state of things in college football, but you got to start the best guy. I think contrary to the narrative on Twitter and from the national media, GMAC is in this thing 100%. It kind of bugs me that Faison versus George McIntyre is like an argument on Vol Twitter. Like, you can't talk about one without putting down the other, which I think is just nonsense. We haven't even seen them play a real snap yet. I wish it wasn't like that, but seems to be like that for some folks. But
I feel like a lot of people are looking at the tangibles. I mean, Faison can do it. I mean, they can both do it with, both the arm and the leg, but Faison is just physically gifted compared to George. And you can look at it both ways here. George, he's been here for a season. He knows the offense a little bit better, but they made the mistake last year and they barely played George. They barely played him, which hurt him. They didn't even play him in the bowl game. Like, it hurt George. And to me, like I said, if it was my decision, now, unless it's like a gigantic step, like to where you could tell like George is just way better. But if it's about 50-50, I'm playing Faison. He's younger. You want him in the system next year. Not saying anything bad about George. I love a Tennessee kid coming, staying home and doing all that. I would love the story. But to me, it all points to Faison because you want that guy to be back next year. And I don't think it happens even if you're flip-flopping. Like, even if Josh Heupel went into the Furman game and he said, George is going to start, and then Faison balls out and he goes, all right, I think Faison's going to be the guy, Georgia Tech or whatever. I don't think Faison's going to like that.
Yeah, I think it was reported earlier today that Faison just signed some huge NIL. Yeah, with them. He, like you said, he has the upside, the potential, I would venture to say the higher ceiling. I don't think that's even in question. But like I said last week, the quarterback position is not just the beauty contest. It's not just who looks the best in a jersey. It's very mental, and I think it's just disingenuous for some people in our fan base to say GMAC doesn't have a chance based off that one throw in practice last week. I'm sure you know the one that I'm talking about. And we've seen a lot of good throws from both of them since then, which leads me
Routes
to
on
this.
air. Routes on air, though.
Yeah, that 100%. And both these quarterbacks were highly rated. They've both known the situation since Ryan Staub committed that it's basically a two-man competition. So they've known that for 7 months now. And I think, a healthy competition, the best man will emerge. I think this is fine. I know some people would say, the fact that neither of them have separated themselves yet, it's not great. But like you said, I mean, we're not even to the first scrimmage yet. That's when the picture will become like super crystal clear to me. And like you said, Heupel will probably not, tip his hand, at least until after the second one. I think by the time we get to game week, the week prior to the Furman game, like he'll make an announcement who's going to get the first snap. But I do think, like you said earlier, both of them will play in the Furman game. I don't know if it'll be 50-50, but
I think it will.
maybe. We just don't know much to the first scrimmage, so that's the main point. But
now I do have one last thing about the quarterback thing, and I heard it in the VolQuest Mailbag podcast earlier, and thought I'd ask you about it. I feel like it's so true. Like if you're a football player on the Tennessee team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, let's say you're a wide receiver, all that, and I feel like one quarterback, they want one of them to win, obviously. Like they're not like, oh yeah, whoever gets it type thing. Like I feel like even listening to Tristan Keys and him talk about the zip on the ball from Faison, and I feel like they have a confidence in somebody to where that's another thing with Josh Heupel's decision is the guy he picks. Some people might not like it. And, I know it's like, hey, whatever, he's the coach, he makes the decisions, but those little things bother kids, so that's another aspect he has to think about. It's another aspect of like, oh, hey, this decision means a lot more than people think. It's not like, oh, who's the quarterback? It's a big problem to have, and it could have repercussions.
Sure, 100%. And I think as much as I hate it, people will be mad. Whoever, I don't think people will be mad if Faison is named the starter. I do think people will be mad if George McIntyre is getting the first snap.
And that's when I would love if he went off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the story you'd want to see. But then again, George McIntyre, let's say he has a good season. Let's say hypothetically, he throws for 3,000 yards and the same amount of touchdowns and interceptions as Nico, right?
Yeah.
That's hard not to be like, oh, he's going to come back next year. Like, and that's the argument we're bringing up is like, you do that to Faison, and you're like, oh, you're going to have another competition. He's not staying. Like, he'd be silly to.
No. Unfortunately, I do think that's true. And yeah.
So like I think they're going with the eye candy, Ryan. I think they're going with the eye candy. Yeah. And again, I don't think Faison's going to disappoint. I think you let him get his licks this year. I still think he could be very good this year. Now, I'm not saying Heisman contender, Hendon Hooker type thing, but I think he could put up Nico numbers. I mean, that's not hard to ask for. Nico was very average.
Yeah.
So, and plus, I mean, you got a great running back room. He has all the wide receivers. If Ethan Davis can stay healthy, Ethan Davis and Deshaun Brame, I mean, and a very talented offensive line. I can't wait to talk about the offensive line. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, with the quarterback, there's nothing really new. We're just stating I think about this all week. It's like you go one way, that guy's gone. You go one way, that guy's gone. It's like it's a sad part of college football. It's not like the old days where, guy wins a battle. It's like, hey, continue to strive on because next year you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's content to be a backup anymore. Yeah. I mean, it just is what it is. But I will say, this whole conversation, if you remember last year before the first scrimmage, it was reported that Mark Linger was ahead of Joey. He ended up being the first team quarterback in the scrimmage.
Yeah.
And the scrimmage revealed a lot. it was very apparent after that Joey was going to be the quarterback, and that was just after the first one. So, and that's just the way these things go. I mean, you're talking about drills for now, and 7-on-7s maybe. I'm not entirely sure what they've been doing. I don't think the media only gets to see like half an hour of practice. So
Yeah.
It's nothing can really be gleaned as far as a quarterback competition until the first scrimmage. So we'll just have to wait and see. And you said people will be mad at Heupel, and I agreed with you if it's GMAC. And I don't think that's unfair. I mean, if you remember in 2021, he picked Joe Milton over Hendon Hooker.
Yep. And that was the wrong decision.
Yeah, and just a simple twist of fate. And then Joe Milton gets hurt against Pittsburgh, and then, imagine how different things would be right now if Joe Milton had played that whole season. Hooker transfers. I mean, maybe Heupel's not even our coach anymore. It's just
right. And what was Joe Milton was the eye candy.
Exactly. So that's just a couple of allegories there. Joe Milton, the best practice quarterback of all time. I mean, I've still see clips of him in practice today in the NFL, and he looks awesome. And then when the lights come on, he's not always effective. And same deal with Josh Dobbs in 2013, 2014. He was third string behind Justin Worley and Nathan Peterman. And then when the lights came on, he was clearly the best quarterback. So It's just, you never know. And it's hard for coaches to know when you don't have them in a game because they look far worse in practice. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. Where do you want to pivot to next, Jim? I thought Rodney Garner said some very interesting things about his defensive line.
Well, yeah, we could switch over to the defense.
Yeah. His quote to them, according to VolQuest, do you want to be a guy or do you want to be the guy? That's two different people. Is it safe to say, Jim, that defensive line is probably the biggest question mark on this team right now?
Yeah, I'd say that. I think it's them and then the secondary. But, I mean, other than that, it's easily, to me, everything else is established, and the quarterback position, obviously. But defensive line is a huge deal. You got to be able to rush that passer, get them to, make those questionable decisions to where, your secondary doesn't have to, cover a wide receiver for more than 6-7 seconds. I mean, that's the goal, is get to that quarterback. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, no, I think Rodney Garner's right. I think you have a bunch of guys, though, that have the talent and the ability to have an elite offense or a defensive line here.
Yeah. I mean, I say it's the biggest question just because you lose so much experience from that line. I mean, they weren't always great last year, but, Bryson Eason, Dominic Bailey, Tyree West, Jackson Moy, Caleb Herring, and Jordan Ross transferred. I mean, I think the top returning sack guy is David Hobbs, and he had 3 last year. So there's just a lot of question marks there. I mean, you really don't know who's going to put up the numbers for you, which is why I think guys like Xavier Gilliam, guys like Jordan Norman, and guys like Hobbs are going to have to, set the example for all these young dudes and the other transfers we've gotten. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm worried about the D-line because Rodney Garner is the coach. He normally has them playing effectively.
Yeah.
But I think it's the biggest question it's been since Heupel's first year. I don't think that's crazy to say at all.
Well, yeah, and plus you have to have guys like Weathersby, who's been there for a while, and he's finally, I believe, he's fully healthy to where. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we did our picks to click. He's one of the guys where if he clicks, that's going to be a huge thing for the the defensive line. I mean, him, you need Marion Dye, you need Christian Gash, you need all those guys, Isaiah Campbell, Ethan Utley, you need all those guys to play with violence. That's the thing about the defensive line. I was watching actually a clip of the Buccaneers playing against the whoever it was. I can't remember. They were practicing against another team,
Yeah.
but their defensive line looked like they were playing with like I'm going to kill you type attitude.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. And that if you have a whole line doing that, it brings a huge difference to a defensive front because we've noticed the past couple of years, especially with Josh Heupel, is the game's won in the trenches. Like if you're getting no pressure to that quarterback and he has 10 seconds to throw the ball, eventually someone's going to get open. It doesn't matter how good your secondary is. So, I mean, it's good. It's a huge, huge, huge deal that we get that figured out this year.
Yeah. Like I said, I would feel more worried about it if Rodney Garner was not in that position. I know.
Yeah.
No, Rodney Garner wasn't even at all of spring practice because he had I think it was a hip replacement or something. So he hasn't gotten as much time as he normally does with these guys. But I think he's back on them now, and he's going to have to do a very good coaching job. And I think he will. I mean, that's how much I trust that dude. You mentioned our picks to click. Why don't we go ahead and get into it, Jim? Do you want me to start, or do you want to give
Let's do
yours
back
first?
and forth. Let's do
Okay.
back and forth, and we're on the defensive side of the ball, so let's do defense first.
To me, the guy that I'm most excited to watch, who hasn't proven himself yet fully on the defense, is Jaden Perlotti. We've mentioned him, I think, at least once per episode in our first few of since we got back into it, Jim. And it's just because of his speed, sideline to sideline. I think we haven't had that over the middle from a linebacker in a very long time. He can keep up with guys. He can destroy people. I remember it was against New Mexico State, but he destroyed their quarterback on a 4th and 1, and I mean he just dropped them dead in his tracks. There was no falling forward from that Jaden Perlotti hit, but he, with this new defensive coordinator, the new scheme, and just a new attitude, whatever weight he's gained, I think he can be very, very effective this year, and he's my number one pick to click on the defense.
See, my only issue with him, and it's not with him, it's just how many snaps is he going to get? Now, it's going to make a big difference if we use 3 linebackers, which I think we can a lot this year. I think they're very versatile. Like you said, Perlotti is one of them that just insanely quick to where if he could stay in coverage, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Tennessee run 3 linebackers deep to where, because you got Amari Campbell, you got Arian Carter, Thielander, Edwin Spillman. Then I think it's Perlotti. But then, like TJ White, I don't know if you've seen him. Like, that dude does not look like a freshman.
Him and Braden Rouse.
Apparently TJ White's probably one of the quickest linebackers we have, apparently. So, which is a big deal. But yeah, Perlotti, dude, he's so exciting to watch. After you're talking the plays he had in a couple of those games last year, it was just like, damn, why is he not on the field? Like, why is he? And it's going to be harder this year, I think, just because of the Amari Campbell, the Edwin Spillman, and Arian Carter. I think the first 2 games you're going to see Perlotti a lot more, just because of that, Arian Carter suspension.
Yeah,
but that's where you make your mark. I mean, if you have 2 good games, you're going to get those snaps.
Yeah, especially if Carter is more coming off the edge this year, because Perlotti is very much the guy in the middle that I think can patrol the middle of that field and catch up to people on screens and whatnot. But yeah, very excited to watch him play. So Jim, who's your number one pick to click on the defense?
My number one is Farouk. I mean, all we've been seeing on Twitter, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and the coaches talking about him, is just the dude stayed when he didn't have to. And he could have said, DeJuan Lane, you could have that job. I'm going to go somewhere else. But he stayed. He got better. And he earned so much respect from a lot of the fan base, a lot of the coaches, in staying in this NIL era.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen multiple videos of him making great plays at practice. So again, I think this is the best safety group Josh Heupel is going to have since he's been here.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people don't realize that's a huge deal in a Jim Knowles defense. I mean, if you ever looked at the safeties he had, I mean, Caleb Downs, all throughout his career, he had good safety play. And they use the safeties for everything in his defense. So Farouk is definitely one of them. I do have an honorable mention one, but
Okay.
I'll say that at the end after you go to your next guy. But Farouk's one of them. I ordered his jersey just because of what he did and stayed. It's just because I'm like, that's a dude right there.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shout out to Farouk. I'm glad he stayed because I think he's gonna have a huge season.
Very commendable. Yeah. I he last year he made some awful plays, but I do not think it was because
But some good plays though. He did have some really good plays.
100%. But the bad plays he made, I do not think it was because of a lack of effort, which I can live with. If you're playing hard, but last year you probably didn't have as good of a coaching as you will have this year. I think if you tap into his effort and his physical abilities, I 100% agree with you. Farouk can really stand out this year at one of those safety spots. One more guy on the defense for me. I mentioned him earlier, talking about leadership on that defensive line. I think David Hobbs. He's going into his senior year, which is hard to believe. Maybe he's one of those guys where it all clicks later in his career, his college career. I think it will. He's always had the physical tools, but again, just like with Farouk, I don't think he always had the best coaching. Like, not coaching like his position, because obviously Rodney Garner is coach, but he wasn't put in the best position by his coordinator to make plays. And I think with this more aggressive defense, Jim Knowles getting in his lab and drawing up some good plays, I think Hobbs can really be effective this year. It wouldn't surprise me if he had a lot more than 3 sacks this year. Again, I'm looking forward to David Hobbs' play. He's my other guy. If I get 2 picks to click on the defense, Hobbs and Perlotti, those are my 2.
I love Hobbs. I mean, he follows me on Twitter, which I love. But he, if he could just stay healthy, I pray he stays healthy, man. Because I don't think it's ever been the lack of talent. I just think he always gets hurt at the most inconvenient times, to where he just hasn't been able to stay healthy for a season. So if he could stay healthy, I think he is a great pick to click, because, I mean, Gilliam's a dude. And having both of them next to each other, that's going to be a problem for offensive lines. And again, to me, it's a great pick. I think because my guy I'm going with is a defensive lineman as well for my pick to click. And it's kind of in the same boat as Hobbs. If they could stay healthy, the sky's the limit for this defense. But my second pick to click is Tyree Weathersby. I mean, I'm looking at his stuff. It's going to be his 4th season. But he's been, playing along with injuries since he's been here. But dude, this kid has the twitch, the size. I mean, the dude's 6'5", listed at 268. I mean, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that if he could stay healthy, he's going to be absolutely nasty. And we need a guy like him to step up, because you have Norman, you have Gilliam, you have Hobbs. You need another guy to step up into a big time role, because you can't have, like, it was never just James Pierce. James Pierce had Joshua Josephs on the other side.
Yeah.
You need that other guy, because then, offensive lines are going to figure that out.
Yeah.
And manipulate their thing with them. So, but before we get off into the offensive pick to clicks or anything else defensively, I do have an honorable mention one. because I forgot about him.
Okay.
But being that Redmond has been out the past week,
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of people are sleeping on Trey Poteet. I
Yeah.
think he is your DB3. I think he's going to get a lot of playing time this year. Obviously, Kay and Lee and Ty Redmond are your two guys, but I think Trey Poteet is going to have a significant role this year.
Yeah.
And God forbid any big time injuries, you need someone like that. You need that DB depth. So that's my honorable mention. I'm not going to go too into it, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to give him a quick shout out because you've been seeing him all over the feed too, and especially BallQuest. If you guys, are on there listening, like watching them, is they talk about him a lot, and it's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think even if he's not like getting a ton of playing time, like he's gonna be like one injury away from that playing time. You know, like it's always nice to have that cornerback depth. But yeah, if he gets on the field, I think he can 100% do it. So I like that one too. Now for the offense, this might be a cop out, but I'm just so excited to watch Tristan Keys play. I think that he should get the wide receiver 3 job just because of we mentioned it earlier with the quarterback position, the potential. Um, I think he has the most potential. I mean, and I do not want him going anywhere. and I do think if he does get that opportunity to play a lot of snaps, that in that third wide receiver spot, I think he can really shine, especially with two guys on the field and Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley that are going to be getting the most amount of attention, the second most amount of attention, at least until Keys shows what he can do. So he's my number one pick to click on the offense.
Okay, I kind of changed mine from what I said earlier before we started recording because I think it's an actual bigger deal than we are letting it seem to be. But I think it's going to be whoever wins the right tackle position.
I like that.
Because to me, if it's Ori Williams, it's Ori Williams. But I'm starting to think that, I wouldn't be mad. Like, if you've seen Glenn Ellerby's comments about Haslam from West Virginia playing with violence and
Yeah.
all that stuff, to me, I want that guy on the line. If he's one of your best 5 right now, I'd rather slide Jesse Perry over to right tackle because Jesse Perry played a great right tackle before,
Yep.
he switched back to guard. And, you want your best 5 out there. So I'm going with whoever gets the right tackle spot. It's not necessarily a pick to click. That needs to be a spot that succeeds, obviously.
Yeah.
And to me right now, I don't know why I have a weird feeling it's gonna be Jesse Perry.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. We talked about it a little bit last week. Perry played his best when he was at right tackle last year, and now he got moved to guard. He didn't play as well, but then we got to see David Sanders, which I think all in all is a pretty good thing. So I'm not mad. But yeah, if Perry earns that spot at right tackle, if Haslam earns that spot, if Williams earns that spot, I think we're in good hands with either of them. You have eight, 9 guys who you feel good about on the offensive line. So I think that's a great. I mean, I think it's the best it's the best position we've been in on the line and since Heupel's been here.
Yeah.
Second pick to click on offense for me, and this is simply because one man can't do the entire job of running back. Is second pick to click would be whoever gets that running back 2 spot between Javon Gordon and Dwayne Morris. I have a feeling it'll be Gordon. Just because he has more experience. I think Morris only had about 100 yards rushing last year, a lot of it in garbage time against the lesser opponents. But we know he's talented too. But whoever wins that spot, I mean, when you put somebody who's not Deshaun Bishop in a game, teams are going to automatically be like, okay, they're about to pass. If he can take advantage, if either one of them can take advantage of, just catching people off guard, like, oh, this guy can run the ball too. And normally Josh Heupel, he's going to have 2 running backs who are pretty effective. I mean, it hasn't happened yet where we don't have at least 2 who can run the ball and run it well in that scheme. So, yeah, that would be my second pick there on the offense.
Mine's kind of boring,
That's
but
fine.
I know everyone's thinking Braylon Staley is the number one guy this year, which he for sure can be. I think Braylon Staley's obviously you're one. I don't think there's a 1-2. I think it's a 1A and a 1B when it comes to the two wide receivers I'm talking about. But I think Mike Matthews is due for a big season.
Yeah.
And again, people tend to forget. I mean, he was a 5-star athlete. He was a guy who played safety in high school, and I just think he's due. I think he's going to have a big time season. It's going to be hard for teams to match up with us when it comes to all the wide receivers we got because Travis Smith Jr., TK Keys, Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley. It's going to be hard to have matchups with guys like that. Deshaun Brame is another guy who could be a wide receiver. I mean, his athletic ability.
That clip of his catch, I mean, that's it. Yeah. I won't get too explicit, so I'll just stop now. But yeah, it was very, very exciting.
Yeah, this team, people are sleeping. And I understand, obviously I hate Alabama. I hate Kentucky. I hate all these other teams, but I'm very realistic with their with the predictions of the season stuff. But people are sleeping on Tennessee. And I'm not trying. This is no bias. I'm telling you, if the defense is clicking and the quarterback can figure it out, it's not hard to figure it out in this Josh Heupel offense.
100%.
Better watch out. We talked about it. Tennessee could go into the Alabama game, 5-1 or 6-1, whatever it is by the time we get there.
I think if you go into the Alabama game
with one loss,
I mean, if you don't go into it 5-1, you're going to have had a disappointing loss somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take, to me, biggest game of the year, other than Texas. Texas is for sure the biggest game of the year. If you could sneak that one,
yeah.
But they got to go into Bobby Dodd, dude, and
take care of business.
Take care of business, man. But yeah, going back to Mike Matthews, I think he's due, dude. I think he's had a lot of hype this fall camp so far, talking about how every rep he's doing it at a game speed. He's not taking those easy routes or whatever. He's going at game speed all fall camp, and that's what you want guys to do. And I think the coaching staff's really pushing that on kids because you saw videos of even Tristan Keys with his footwork, and he's like, hey, you got to get that foot down. It's little stuff like that we haven't had. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Sometimes and the 5 stars you get, they come in thinking, they're fine. They don't have to put in any work, but a lot of them learn real quick. I think, sometimes last year I thought Mike was a little disappointing. It didn't look like he was giving 100% effort. There were some balls I thought he could have gotten to. Mm-hmm. Some routes he seemed to, give up on early. But maybe this offseason he's finally turned it on. Like, I got to work to live up to my 5-star potential, which is why I think it's fine giving a 5-star the pick to click. I did the same thing with Tristan Keys. It's not always a guarantee they're going to be good. I mean, the hit rate on 5 stars is – I don't think it's any better than any other recruit. You just got to hope you get the right one. So,
yep.
I love that pick. I think Mike has all the tools. He's always had the tools. It's just about does he really commit to it this year? And it sounds like he has. So,
well, to me, yeah, if he has a big year, I mean, he could go straight to the NFL. I mean, if he has a big year, this is what you would call a contract year for him. It's like, hey, you have a mediocre season, you might have to come back to college again.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of Mike, sorry to cut you off, but speaking of Mike Matthews, he was number 71 on Bruce Feldman's freak list. So
and it's not easy to get on that list. Not easy.
I think Arian Carter was the other Tennessee Vol on that list who came in at number 6. So that's pretty good. It's still a damn shame he's going to miss the first 2 games, but yeah.
I would just play him. I'm so tired of that NCAA, dude. Now, that's kind of a topic to talk about. To me, I feel like I know Tennessee used all their appeals in regards to that, but can he not do something himself? Like,
I don't know. I'm not an expert in eligibility or legal stuff when it comes to all that, but you think he could, with all the other stuff you hear about these days in college sports with people, suing and, you know, TROs, temporary restraining orders, and everything that goes on these days when the NCAA comes down with some crazy decision or, NBA players want to play college basketball again. But I don't know.
crazy.
I would think he would have exhausted every option, and by now I figured you would have heard something about it if that was a possibility, So I don't know. I'll just be glad to see him when he does come onto the field against Kennesaw State. We know he's playing against Kennesaw State, so just some housekeeping here, Jim. We got some unfortunate injury news in fall camp so far. Jaden Harmon out for the year with an ACL. If it wasn't the linebacker room, I would be very worried about it. But
Yeah.
it is the deepest position group on the team. So I hate it for him, but I think we're going to be fine there. It's just you hate to see injuries like that. Kid going
You
into
don't want anyone to get hurt on any team.
especially in camp. I mean, there's normally at least a couple every camp where they come down with some crazy injury that sidelines him for the whole year. I think the other guy we had was Jedias Richard, the guy from Miami we got, which does hurt the secondary depth a little bit. But I think most of his value to this team was him having played on a national championship contender last year. So I think his role now is just, basically be a coach, be a mentor.
Well, and he was finally healthy. He was finally healthy, and it wasn't even in camp. It was during his own personal training.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. But those are only two so far. Hopefully, we don't see any more crazy ones. We already mentioned Ty Redmond last week. He was sidelined with like a sickness. That's all we got, just a sickness. But he was back yesterday. And Jim, your boy Ethan Davis, are we worried about him? Are we worried?
I wasn't
about
at first.
Yeah.
I wasn't at first. I know they said it was precautionary. It was day to day, and it's been a while. It's been a while.
I think it was it was maybe the first day of practice where he landed awkwardly in there, like you said.
Now again, they could be taking precaution. They know he's their starting tight end, and
that's what they're saying so far. It's very precautionary. So
which okay, fine.
Yeah.
To me, he's your guy. You don't need him to drain himself at fall camp, but maybe get him in a red no contact jersey and keep the conditioning up. But I'm going to stand by my tweet about Ethan Davis. I think he has all the talent in the world to be a very, very good tight end. But again, we have good tight end depth to where it's nice letting them get more reps in this fall camp setting, like Deshaun Brame and Luka Wolf and the guy from South Alabama.
Trent Thomas.
Yep. Yes, Thomas, number 44.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. If Ethan Davis can get on the field with everything else that's going to be going on offense, with the line being so good and the receivers being good, hopefully the quarterback's good, he can have a big season. So it was fun watching him have a great game at Florida in that win last year, which was unfortunately probably the most fun game from last year. But yeah. Anything else you want to get into tonight, Jim? I mean, we are just waiting on that first scrimmage to really find out where we're headed in this quarterback battle. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I still think it's Faison. I don't think George is gonna separate himself as much as he needs to get that spot. Not saying he's gonna suck. I'm just thinking if neither one separates themselves and it's 50-50, I feel like it's going to be Faison.
Yeah, I 100% agree just because of the we mentioned earlier, the upside, the more eligibility, all those things. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. That scrimmage is Saturday. Then after that, another week of practice. Then I guess the next scrimmage would be the next weekend, and the picture will become crystal clear, in my opinion. But like you said, all things equal, if it's nobody separated themselves, I think Faison is your guy. My tent is still in the Faison Brandon camp, pegged down. My air mattress is blown up in the tent still. I have not let the air has not come out of it yet. I might even build a campfire after this first scrimmage. So anything else you want to get into tonight, man?
I don't think so. It's going to get more exciting, everyone, when it gets to the real season stuff, when we get to do our season predictions. And
that's soon.
Very soon. Very soon. I feel like we got to do that once we get a quarterback named, because, I mean, you can't really base a season off of, if we have this guy, it's going to be this. If we have this guy, I mean,
I get it. I get it. But thank you to those who have tuned in. We appreciate it. And go Vols.
Go Vols, baby.